Well, good afternoon, everybody. Surprise visitor on the channel. Very welcome to the my very good friend and the legend that is Paul Thorpe. Paul, it's good to see you. Have you been, mate? What's been happening?
Yeah, I'm all good, Rich. I'm just, I've not got the best of receptions. Everyone can hear me all right. I haven't got any Wi-Fi where I am, so I'm just patching it on the phone. But lovely to see you, mate, and lovely to be back.
Well, you're looking fresh. You're looking fresh, Paul, and you're looking well rested, mate. So it's you've had a well-earned break, and it's getting back into the thick of things, which is what it's all about at the end of the day, mate. So it's good to see you. And what do you think about my backdrop, Paul? Are you impressed with it? Does it pass muster?
Well, listen, mate. I mean, look, you and Danny are starting to outdo me in every way. I mean, the background actually is looking a little bit like a strip club in the background there, Rich. I might be round in an hour.
Well, I mean, listen, I'm not going to go down that road, Paul, but all I'm going to say is I got the strip light. I got the strip light off someone very close to me. Do you know what I mean? That's all I'm going to say. But no, it's all good. It's good to see you, man.
In the back, mate.
Yeah, exactly. But we've got to have the Union Jack and everything. So that was some of my wife's artwork. She did that for me a couple of years ago. So it's it's looking good. And good to see loads of people piling in there as well. So Paul, you're obviously popular as ever. There's loads of people jumping on. Hi Richard, good to see you. Good to see Paul as well.
Just so everyone knows, I can't see the comments. So only the ones you put up. Hi Vera.
Paul, and I can't see them anyway unless I do this. Do you know what I mean? I've got to do the old Morecambe and Wise bit. By the way, I must say, Paul, I love the you and Danny are like Morecambe and Wise. You're like the Morecambe and Wise of Benidorm. We were watching you on those mobility scooters, those souped up, high-powered mobility scooters. And mate, I mean, you need to do more of that. You need to do more of that. It was absolutely brilliant, mate. Top class, top class work.
You know what, Richard? We all bring enough bad news to people, so I think now and again it just helps to throw in a bit of light-heartedness, just to show people that look, we all like a giggle, So
this is the whole point. And I mean, the man that we're going to talk about in a few minutes, I mean, it's filling up. I mean, we've gone 5-10 minutes early, and we've already got sort of nearly 500 people in the chat already, and that's because you're here, Paul. They're not coming to see me, mate.
Yeah, they're not coming to see me either, Rich.
No, but you and Danny, it was like the Laurel and Hardy, Little and Large of Benidorm. But I'm trying to work out who the straight man is. That's the only thing I'm asking, Paul. Who's the straight man, you or Dan?
Hey, steady. I'll tell you what we are going to do. I think me and Danny are going to have a little. We're going to have a little bit of. We're going to do a bit of sparring.
Really?
40 odd years since I got in a 40 odd years since I got in a ring, mate. So. I know that the heart's still there, but I think the physics might let me down a little bit because everything's dropped a few inches since then.
Paul, all I'm going to say is, mate, you're lucky that Danny's got one bad arm now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
100%.
Well, listen, let's talk about this very good news that we've just heard. And again, we always say this when we're on live streams, and I do apologize for it, but we can't go into a lot of detail. I've spoken to the team. They don't want any dates going out or anything like that. They don't want people reading more into it than it is. But what we do know for sure, and let's go see what let's for once use the BBC as a trusted source, Paul. Let's have a look at what the BBC have got to say here. So we'll just get the story up here, and I'll read a bit of it, then we'll have a chat about it. Yeah. So okay. Here we go. Tommy Robinson to be released from prison early. There they go straight away. They can't help themselves. The first line of the news story there, Paul. The far right anti-Islam activists. Stephen Yaxley. And by the way, can everybody hear me there? Can you hear me? Okay, Paul. Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you, mate.
That's okay, mate. Yeah, good stuff. So basically, they've said it's 18-month sentence for contempt of court was reduced after a hearing at the High Court on Tuesday. Yaxley Lennon was jailed last October. Yeah, okay, we know all that. So his lawyers told the court he had since shown commitment to comply with the order, Mr. Justice Johnson granted the application to have the sentence reduced because Lachianen has shown a change in attitude since he was sentenced. The 42-year-old is due to be released from prison, well, according to the BBC, within the next week. The judge noted that there was an absence of contrition or remorse from
Lachianen. You can hear me,
yeah.
all right?
I can hear you fine, Paul. As long as you can you hear me, mate? Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, good stuff.
I can hear you now. Yeah, you're back now.
Okay, good stuff. The judge noted there was an absence of contrition or remorse, no kidding, from Yachi, but added he has given us an assurance that he will comply with the injunction in the future and that he's no intention of breaching it again, and that he's aware of the consequence of what would happen if he breached the injunction again. And I think let's just get out of that, Paul. We'll get back to this. I think the reality is that he's absolutely right in what he's done. I think Tommy has made absolutely the right decision in this, Paul, in terms of purging the contempt.
100%.
You know, he has highlighted issues. He has taken one for the whole country on this one, because again, I'm not going to. I think it's very wise not to even talk about the content of the film, right, Paul? Because at the end of the day, what we don't want to do is, by default, cause any more problems. So I think it'd be very, very wise for us just to say that mission accomplished. Mission accomplished, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm not going to say any more than that. Mission accomplished. But he's done what he's done. There's absolutely nobody can point the finger at Tommy and say he's done the wrong thing. And as far as I know, he can't take the film down himself anyway, because he's in prison. So it must have been someone else that took the film down for him. So he hasn't compromised to me in any way, shape, or form. And the fact that the BBC report, as if it's a bad thing that he hasn't showed any remorse or contrition, well, that says everything you need to know. And I think now, Paul, when he gets out, no doubt we'll all be talking to him. We'll all be finding out what his mind is. He's certainly going to need I would think a long time of recuperation and getting his family around him, getting his friends around him, and just chilling out. And I, for one, will not be bugging the life out of him, because at the end of the day, if he comes to me and chats to me, that's fine. But
he needs as long as he needs.
That's what I mean. Exactly. He absolutely does. But I think everyone. I mean, we've got 1,000 people watching this now at lunchtime on a Tuesday. Tuesday lunchtime. 1,000 people watching this. This shows how important this story is, Paul. And again, from the point of view of the movement and what we're going to do, it once again adds the Tommy Robinson dynamic into the movement. And there's energy, even in the comments, Paul. There's energy. Nobody's talking about any of the old nonsense that we're talking about. It's all energy. It's all positive, because he's coming home and he's gonna be there, obviously, to take up the reins and do whatever he's going to do. What are your thoughts on it all, Paul? What's your take on everything?
Well, firstly, I think whoever took the film down, obviously that would be Tommy's backroom team. It was a wise decision, right decision. It was the right decision for him. It was the right decision for his family, and I'm absolutely delighted that he's going to be back home very soon. Although I will add, Richard, that the news about me is only tainted by the news, obviously, about Lucy Connelly, who has been denied an early release on appeal. Absolutely appalling. I mean, I can't believe that Lucy Connelly wasn't released. And whilst we can be pleased he's going to be back out with his family, with his loved ones and his friends, let's not forget Lucy Connellys of this world. Let's not forget the Peter Lynch's. Let's not forget those that have been to jail incorrectly, unfairly, probably almost unlawfully in some ways, and were given bad advice by solicitors and ended up in jail. Now, Lucy Connelly has not been released, so I'm told. That's what I've seen today. Her appeal has been denied, and that is a shocking indictment of what has taken place in this country over the last 12, 15 months. Absolutely disgraceful, an embarrassment to the nation, an embarrassment to the country. And since I've been out here in Spain for the last few weeks, let me tell you, every single European that I meet out here, every single European is here for the same reasons that I'm here. Because they cannot feel they can carry on in their own country being safe. So, yes, I'm delighted that Tommy's coming out, absolutely thrilled to bits. But let's not forget the others as well. Let's not forget poor Peter Lynch, bless his heart, who will never come out. And let's not forget the Lucy Connollys of this world, because, you know, they must now take the limelight. Lucy needs to get out. We need to get Lucy out now.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you know, that's what people are saying in the comments, that this needs to be all the prisoners coming out, Paul, because the truth of the matter is, to me, look, Tommy shouldn't have been in prison. He was treated absolutely abhorrently. Again, I'm not going to talk about the film, I'm not going to talk about the content of the film, but to me, just a completely, it's Tommy law, isn't it, Paul? But it's not just Tommy law now. You know, I often think about that guy that went to the protest in Downing Street, big, tall, ex-train driver, right? His wife was disabled, right? And he was locked up for saying something that was basically blasphemy law that he was locked up under. That was, I'm not going to repeat what he said, but we know it was something about Alan, right? He said something about Alan, and he was locked up. And to me, that is just such a travesty and a miscarriage of justice. And there's literally hundreds of people like that.
I've just lost you, mate. I can't.
Yeah, you're freezing a bit there, Paul. But I if you can just chip in wherever you can, Paul. Yeah, lost him. Well, we'll see if we can get Paul back. But I think the reality is, yes, Paul's totally right in what he's saying there. He's basically highlighting the issue of all the other people, all the other prisoners that have been jailed, and they're not getting out. They're not getting an early release. They're still in prison, and they're going to do the time that they're going to do. And I think the thing with Lucy Connelly is especially unpleasant, as far as I can see, because she literally reacted to something that happened. She'd been bereaved. She's suffering the stress of bereavement herself, and you know, she's been locked up. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And I think that's what we've got to do now. We've got to start talking about freeing Lucy Connelly. So we've had the Free Tommy stuff, and fair play to his legal team. I think getting him out within a week, it's absolutely fantastic news, because you know, I remember when the talk about the film happening, and when the film went out, and again, I'm not going to talk about what was in the film, but when the film went out, he Tommy was expecting possibly to actually do 2 years in prison for this, because I think the maximum sentence was something like 4 years, and he was expecting to do 2. So the fact that he ended up getting an 18-month sentence, wasn't it, and he was going to do 9, was, you know, at the time he thought that was a result. And then the situation with getting these, you know, whatever it is, 4 months chopped off the sentence, and of course the impact that has had. Elon Musk got onto the grooming scandal because of what happened with Tommy's film, and because of Tommy being in prison. Elon Musk was the one that drove the debate about grooming and made it worldwide. We've been talking about this stuff for years. We've been marching about this stuff for years. We've been doing demos about this stuff for years. But it was Elon's intervention, which would not have happened had Tommy not have gone to prison. It would not have happened had Tommy not have published that film on his platform. It wouldn't have happened if Elon hadn't have republished the film on that platform. So, and again, the next thing, Paul, good to have you back, mate. I was filling in the gaps there, mate.
Sorry about that. I've got
no, it's great.
Very poor reception here. Very poor.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep. I was just saying, Paul. I mean, the point I was making there was that if it hadn't been for the film being shared, and then Elon picking up on it in, I think it was January of this year. And again, we're not talking about the content of the film. We're not going to go down that road. But if it hadn't been for Elon talking about the film, we wouldn't be in the position where the grooming scandal has come to the absolute forefront and center stage, not just of British politics, but of global politics. And the light's been shone on this administration when it comes to freedom of speech. And let's just hope that the Americans put a bit more pressure on Starmer, not just about the freedom of speech issue, Paul, but also about the sellout and the betrayal that he's signed off on yesterday in the European Union. Can you hear me, Paul? Yeah, can you hear there, Paul? Yeah. Well, we can see Paul. We can't
Richard, I
hear
don't know
him.
if you can hear me, mate, but unfortunately my connection is so unstable. Yeah, unfortunately, mate, my connection is just not having it.
Okay, okay, mate. Well, listen, it looks like we've lost Paul. I'm going to go through some of these comments. By the way, guys, brilliant to have so many on this lunchtime. 1,500 people watching live. Absolutely fantastic. Can I ask you all to do me a favor, if possible? If you're watching this on the Richard Inman channel, if you could flick across, and I'm gonna see if I can grab this and put it in the on the screen so you can see where I want you to go. I want you to actually go across to my other YouTube channel, if I can find it. Let's have a quick look. And I want you to subscribe to that, because what I'm going to try and do is get as many people across from my main channel onto the new channel, which is going to be all sorts of interesting stuff. It's not just going to be about politics. It's going to be about faith. It's going to be about culture. It's going to be really how we survive in the first century. So I'm just gonna put this on the screen so you can see what the channel is, and then if you could go to it, you just find it by going on YouTube and typing in Counter Media UK. You'll actually find the channel. So just let me put this on the screen, guys. Just bear with me. Okay. Right, guys. So I'm going to put the channel up now. So there you go. That's the channel. So Counter Media. If you find that channel on YouTube, go and like it, subscribe to it. Like I say, we're going to build that up. We're going to have all sorts of different people on it. We're going to have all sorts of commentators. I want to have debates. And to some extent as well, it's very difficult to get the left to debate because they know they're always wrong on everything. But what I'd like to do on this channel, I'd like to bring some people from the left in to actually drill down into what they believe and see if they've got any answers for the nonsense that they're spouting. So, you know, I want to talk about things like net zero. I want to talk about things like illegal immigration. I want to talk about things like all the problems that we're seeing in the country, community cohesion, multiculturalism, all that sort of stuff. Because again, people are not having debates about it. We're always giving our side of the story, but let's hear what these other people think about it and see if we can get some debate. So I'm going to be doing some of that. And again, like I always try and do on all my channels, instead of just moaning about stuff, we want to give positive solutions. And that the only way we're going to win this is we've got to vote our way out of this. That's the only way it's going to happen. If we can't vote our way out of this, guys, you can all hear me there. We've got to find a solution to this, and we've got to find a political solution. Just going to go through some of the comments. Richard, you have. Yeah, listen. I look. I was supporting Tommy. When it wasn't trendy to support Tommy. Let me just put it that way. You know, whenever I first started supporting Tommy, believe you me, even people that are now at the heart of our movement were not interested in supporting Tommy Robinson. They didn't understand him. They didn't understand what he's doing. I followed his career for years before I met him. And, you know, it's like anything. Sometimes people can fool you, right? But I've said this before about Tommy. The more I've got to know Tommy over the years, the more respect I've got for him and the more I like him. Now, does that mean he's perfect? No. But then again, who is? There's only one person that's ever been perfect, and that's Jesus Christ. And like I've said about Tommy, Tommy's not the Messiah. And yes, he can be a naughty boy. But the bottom line is, he's the man that's took the heat over this single issue year after year after year, put his life at risk, put his liberty at risk, put his family at risk, put everything on the line, his finances. He has paid a massive price for what he's done. And I will always stand with Tommy. And, you know, people talk about all sorts of stuff about Tommy. They talk about money. They talk about this, that, and the other. Do you know what? If Tommy was getting paid £10 million a year, I wouldn't begrudge him a penny of it, because he's doing a hell of a lot more than pathetic sports people and social media icons that are getting money for literally just being pretty and going on the TV. You know, this man has taken a stand, and he has no other way of earning money other than the means that he has to use to earn money. So again, there's a lot of bitterness out there. There's a lot of hate. There's a lot of people been attacking different people in the movement, attacking me, attacking Paul. I just choose to ignore them. I just won't get involved in it. I won't get involved in any of that. But when it comes to Tommy, I think what's going to happen now he's out, I really do think that he's going to breathe life into the movement again. We've got, like I said, we've got a strategic plan. We've got Uniting the Kingdom. We've got the pledge, which again is going to be so relevant as we go forward. And again, Tommy's fully supported the pledge from the beginning. So we've got the different political parties. We've got UKIP. We've got whatever Ben and Rupert are going to do. Forget about reform, because none of us are allowed to join reform. This is the irony of all this. People complain about us being divisive. The only party that's been divisive in this country is reform. Well, not reform, actually, because loads of my mates are in reform. Loads of my mates have stood as candidates, got elected as candidates. But the problem that we've got with reform is three people, Nigel Farage, Richard Tice, and Zia Youssef. Because as Tice said, we don't have anything to do with that lot. We don't have anything to do with Tommy Robinson. That's what Tice said. So I think this is going to be again another renaissance for our movement. And again, one of the things I'm really impressed with the whole Uniting the Kingdom movement is the Christianization of it, the Christianization of the movement. That is so important. Sammy Lee, that is a picture that my wife designed and put together. She's very good at all that sort of stuff, and so that's having pride of place. I was going to put some more stuff on the walls behind me, but I think less is more is the operative word. Lee, I'm emotional that Tommy's come out. I'm so happy. That's exactly right. Our prayers have been answered, and Tommy said, I've got Ricky Doolan on at 7:00 tonight, guys. So again, if you go to that Counter Media channel and like and subscribe to that, I'll be on there tonight with Ricky Doolan. We're at about 3,000 subscribers on Counter Media. To have it to let it have any impact really in the realm that we're in, we need to get up to 100,000. That's kind of the magic number. So if we're going to have any impact and get extra people, because the way it's got to be done, I can be very controversial on this channel because the channel's been here for ages. I can say all sorts of things. The new channel, I'm going to be a lot more measured in what I say. Everybody knows what I believe about all the issues, but I'm going to be a lot more measured because we've got to win people over. All of us lot that are on today, a lot of us have been doing this for a long time. But what we need to do is we need to win the people over that are undecided, that are going, well, we're not sure about that lot. We're not sure about what they believe. And when we let people realize what we believe and that we're not unreasonable, that we're not racist, we're not, xenophobic, that we just genuinely care about our country, then let's have a look. Tommy and other political prisoners respect having Tommy in politics will result. Well, Tommy's no interest in going into frontline politics, as far as I know. He's interested in journalism, but it doesn't mean he can't support a political party, because whatever political party Tommy supports will get massive support. So whether it's UKIP, SDP, anything that Ben and Rupert do, whatever party it is, basically it's going to get absolutely massive support from the population, because there are literally millions of people up and down the country that support Tommy. Best news ever. It's great news. It really is absolutely fantastic news. Thanks, Sammy Lee. Sammy Lee's just subscribed to the new channel. So guys, if you can get on there, subscribe to the new channel, that would be absolutely fantastic. I want as many people across there as possible. It's going to take me time to build it up. There's going to, you know, no doubt there's going to be mistakes, and there's going to be all sorts of stuff that I do wrong in it, like we do with everything in life. But we've got to really start pushing ourselves forward and being a lot more forthright in the way that we're talking about things. And we've got to absolutely win this. I mean, we've got 4 years to save the country. This battle we're in is every bit as serious. It's not as bloody and it's not as violent, but it's every bit as serious as the Second World War, because the traitors are already in control of this country, and we need to find a way to completely change that. And that's, like I keep coming back to, everybody's important in this. Paul Thorpe's important. Jeff Taylor's important. Maya Tusi's important. Sargon and Carl Benjamin, the Lotus Eaters are important. The Christian leaders that are involved in this, Calvin Robinson, Brett Murphy, Father Phil, all of them, Ricky Doolan, all of them are very, very important in what we're doing. And we've got to get this unity. We've got to get everybody together. But now Tommy's coming out, there will be energy. You can just imagine. I mean, if you ever spent any time with him, I mean, he does have ADHD. I mean, I'm surprised that he needed to get a diagnosis for that, because you sit in a car with him for 5 minutes and you know he has ADHD. But that's how he managed to do what he does, because he's got that much energy. So yeah, it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be really, really good. Well done, Richard, for sticking with Tommy through thick and thin. Well, you know, I intend to stick with him, you know, to the end. Yes, Nick Tinconi, massively, massively important. Charlie Downs, Charlie, young lad. Which one's Charlie's? Is Charlie the really young lad, or is Charlie the one that's in his mid-20s? I get them two guys mixed up. But there's a lot of good young people coming through. And again, you know, there's new blood coming into the movement. There's new blood coming into the churches, and us old fogies, you know, pushing 60. What we need to do is try and pass on what we know, and also the mistakes we've made, and the times we've got ourselves into bother, and hopefully help the new generation of people get involved. We've nearly got two. This just shows how massive Tommy is, right? This my YouTube channel's a small YouTube channel. Got about 43,000 people on one channel, 3,000 people on another channel. Not massive, not a massive channel. And we've got nearly 2,000 people watching live on a Tuesday lunchtime. And it's purely and simply, it's not because of me, it's purely and simply because we've got some great news about Tommy Robinson coming out of prison. And yeah, absolutely fantastic. I've been asked to not put any dates on when Tommy's coming out. I was speaking to the guy that does a lot of Tommy stuff on the outside, and he's asked me guys, thanks so much for that, guys. That if you don't do me any other favor today, right? There's 2,000 people on here. Dive onto Counter Media, and let's see if we can get this up to 10,000 subs by the end of the week, because it's something I'm gonna keep pushing. I'm gonna keep pushing. Just as I say, just to hope people don't expect too much. Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Tommy's going to need a lot of time to recover from this, because the strain that will have put on his family, the strain it will put on him. Remember, he has been literally in the same room, in the same place for however many months it is, since October. Yeah. You know, limited amount of contact. They stopped people like me going to see him. I was basically banned from going to see Tommy. I was meant to have a visit with him just before the march in February, and they pulled the visiting order. I came to England a day early to visit Tommy, and they pulled the visiting order. So that's what we're up against. So look, thank you for being honest and genuinely concerned about Tommy. Well, I think anyone that wouldn't be concerned, even if I didn't like Tommy, I would be concerned about someone getting put in prison. I remember Julian Assange been in prison for all those years, and I found that very disturbing. I don't like Julian Assange particularly. You know, I don't think. I think he did probably put people's lives at risk with the WikiLeaks thing. But at the end of the day, should he have been locked up in Belmarsh for all those years? absolutely disgusting. I don't trust Starmer to not so. Well, do you know what? This is the whole thing. This is why we need to be vigilant. This is why we need to be extremely careful what we say. And again, I would advise everybody not to talk about the film because, again, you know, I don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize his release. So I'm not going to be broadcasting anything about the film. I've seen the film, but I'm not going to talk about it. But it is mission accomplished. He's achieved what he set out to achieve. The profile of what's happening in the UK because of Tommy's imprisonment, because of the film, because of Elon's involvement, has gone through the roof. And this is only one victory. It's one victory in a small battle in a very long and very difficult war. And again, this war isn't fought with bombs and bullets, thankfully, but it's fought on these platforms. And I believe that sooner or later, this government will start going after these platforms again. And wow, we just broke 2,000. I mean, that's incredible for a Tuesday lunchtime. 2,000 people watching us live to celebrate the good news that Tommy Robinson is getting out. He's coming home. I got a bit overexcited earlier on. I was, oh, thanks. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Wheelie Bear. That's really, really appreciated. Again, I mean, I think many of us have, to be honest with you. Tommy's had a lot more supporters than he probably realizes down through the years. But again, a lot of people were very, very shy about celebrating the news with Tommy. Why does it take days to well, that's a very good question. Why indeed? Why indeed? When you think about how quickly they lock him up. And again, I won't be fully celebrating until I see him on the outside. And I think anyone that's praying, the praying people that watch my channel, if you're Christian people, pray that he gets out safely. Because, man, prisons are a very, very dangerous place. And as long as he's in there, we've all been worried about his safety. But no, this is great news. This is absolutely fantastic news. So incredibly happy for him to see his kids. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it's all about. And everyone that's subscribing to the channel, thanks very much for subscribing to Counter Media. I just hope there's not two Counter Media channels now. As long as it's the one I showed you all earlier, then it's the right one, Counter Media UK. But if we can get loads of people, if we can get another 100 people with YouTube channels with 100,000 people on them, that's a big reach. That's a big reach, and that's what we need to do. We need to have tens of thousands of people hearing this message, tens of thousands of people realizing that there is a political solution, that we can vote our way out of this. This is the last chance to vote our way out of it, by the way. This election coming up in 4 years' time is the last chance that we will have to save our country democratically. I genuinely believe that. And that's a frightening thought. But what that should do, that should focus. Oh, I find it hard to trust that. Totally agree, John. Totally 100% agree. And I think the thing is this, John, if anything happened to Tommy between now and him getting out of prison, I think it would be a very long, hot summer in the United Kingdom. And that's all I'm going to say. I think there would be a massive reaction, and it would be a very negative reaction. And obviously we don't want that to happen, but I think the authorities need to make sure that he is kept safe until he gets out. And then once we get him out, then it's a complete game changer for everyone. And to me, Tommy's won this battle. And he played a blinder in the way that he did this, and he's achieved everything that he wanted to achieve. So it's got to be done. We're all growing on social media, absolutely, and we've got to keep doing this. Get Tommy to Vinny. I think if they go after him again, they've got to basically. He's got to find a way of getting to the United States of America, and isn't that scandalous that we're talking about a British citizen possibly having to claim political asylum because of what's going on? Absolutely unbelievable. As Paz said, let's hope they don't. Well, absolutely agree with that. That's could they do that? I think it's unlikely. I think it's very unlikely because again, I think I think it's very, very unlikely. I'm not religious, but at all, but I will pray that Tommy. Yeah, well, listen, you've got to start somewhere. So absolutely, Annie, start praying. Start praying. It'll not do you any harm. That's for sure. That's for sure. What do we got here? What's this one? They confiscated his phone. It wasn't in his possession. They would have to prove it wasn't tampered with. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I don't think Tommy will be rearrested. I don't think so. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple of names in the Winston Marshall. Winston Marshall is doing a great job with the podcast. Remember, this guy was like a rock star, proper rock star. People talk about rock stars, but he was one. And yeah, I mean, Winston is absolutely smashing it. Andrew Gold, absolutely playing a blinder. And these are people that probably came from quite a left-wing point of view. And yeah, so it's good to see all these new guys coming on the scene for sure. Let's have a look. Richard Emmett, what do you think Tommy Robinson will say about reform? Well, I mean, do you know what? I think Tommy has been extremely gracious when it comes to Nigel Farage, and when it comes to the way Nigel Farage has behaved. And yeah, I think Tommy Tommy will be very thoughtful before he says anything about Nigel. I mean, he could say plenty because Nigel has completely thrown him under the bus repeatedly. And that says more about Nigel than it says about Tommy. So Tommy doesn't really need to say anything. Tommy doesn't need to say a thing. All he needs to do is basically just let Nigel carry on the attacks. And Tommy's said everything that he needs to say. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Tommy, it's good news, but he should never have been in the prison. Absolutely. I totally agree. All of these people that went to prison last year, political prisoners, Pete Lynch, Lucy Connelly, the train driver guy, I can't remember his name. I apologize for that. But all those people, there's another one I think she was in her late 50s, early 60s. She had like a 70-year-old husband that she was caring for. She got a long sentence. I'm not sure whether she's out yet. Absolutely ridiculous. And yeah. Okay. Can't wait for the day that Tommy joins you for. Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to get that organized. When he gets out. Praise the Lord. Indeed. It's and I wasn't actually expecting this, to be brutally honest with you. So there's an interesting comment. Nobody cares about the UK, full of council housing, boring country. Japan is better. Oh, well, I don't know what to say about that, but everyone's got the right to their opinions. That's all we'll say. Okay. Can't trust Keir Starmer. I doubt he wants a free Tommy speaking out about those certain grooming. Well, do you know what? The cat's out of the bag on the grooming gangs. The cat's out of the bag. Richard Starmer should be in prison. That should. Yeah, I get what you're saying there. Not me, Richard Starmer, not Richard Inman. So look at this one. Do you think the announcement Tom was released today was done to try and cover up Starmer's capitulation? Yes, it could well be, David. I never thought about that. Okay. Farage's controlled opposition. Yep, absolutely. So proud of Tommy. He's gone through hell in jail. Awful for Lucy not getting a shorter sentence. What has become of our society? Okay. Well, I mean, obviously, Bexy, I totally disagree with that. I'm a supporter of Israel as well. So I have been for years. I know what the Bible says about Israel, and there's no doubt that that God has a plan and a purpose for the Jewish people. So I'm not going to go down that road. But again, you've got your right to your opinion, but I fundamentally and completely disagree with it. Nigel, no class. Tommy, yes, absolutely agree with that. Why is George's flag always a black Islam flag? Look what YouTube. I haven't seen what's YouTube doing to our flag. I'll have to have a look at that. Will there be much of our country left? No, there's not going to be a lot of our country left, but we've got to rebuild. There wasn't much of our country left after how many years? What was it? 6 years of 6 years? Yeah, 6 years of the Second World War. There was the country was in absolute ruins. Yeah, I'm one of Tommy's lot. Sunflower people I know don't believe that. Where's your podcast supporting Tommy? You cowards, lies. I'm one of Tommy's lot. Sunflower people don't believe that. Where's your podcast supporting Tommy? Yep, absolutely. Paul, very clever man. Very clever man is Tommy. This has played out in his favour. He needs to remove himself from the UK now till at least this tyrannical dictatorship gets out. Well, I think with Tommy, will he remove himself from the UK? Knowing Tommy, probably not. You know, who would blame him if he did? I wouldn't blame anyone leaving the UK at the minute, to be honest with you. I totally understand it. If I'm not going because everything I care about is here, so I'm not going to go anywhere. But the reality is, if he could go somewhere and be safe and know he's not going to get persecuted or locked up, I think if Tommy went to America and got on the lecture circuit, I mean, it would do far more for our cause probably than him staying in the UK. To be brutally honest with you, because he's done so much activism in the UK, but there's always a danger there. So I wouldn't blame Tommy. If Tommy could get to the States, I wouldn't blame him. And again, I've no information on that. That's me just saying stuff out of the top of my head. So don't start a rumor that Tommy's got to the US, because that's not the case. But if he did and he could get in, I wouldn't blame him. Not at all. Fantastic news, something to celebrate. Yeah, it's made everybody's days. It's made everybody's day. I was on the front line at the counter Pally rally on Saturday. It's tough as a Jewish man watching the police treat people making. Well, this is the whole point. I mean, and this is why I stand with Israel. It's why I stand with the Jewish people, and always have done ever since I was a child. It was instilled in me by my parents. Obviously, they lived through the Second World War. They knew all about the Holocaust. They knew exactly what happened to the Jewish people, and the whole mantra was "It's never again." And the reality is that what Hamas want is, when they're chanting from the rivers to the sea, they want all the Jewish Israelis gone from the Jewish Israeli homeland that was the Jewish Israeli homeland, 2,000-3,000 BC, whenever Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, you go and read the Bible, you'll find out all about it. Israel's been a thing for a very, very long time, and way before there's any mention of the Arabs. So yeah, I'm 100% an Israel supporter for lots and lots of different reasons. And again, if people don't agree with me, that's fine. I'm not gonna start getting into shouting matches and arguing matches about it. But it's been my conviction since I was a child. I remember watching in my teens, watching Bibi Netanyahu, who was then the IDF defense spokesman, the Israeli Defense Forces spokesman. And whenever the war was going on in Lebanon, I remember Menachem Begin, and obviously, again, there's a lot of history there between the UK and Israel. I mean, and I do acknowledge that there was terrorism carried out by Jews against the British after the Second World War when they were pushing for independence and freedom. I understand that. I know about the King David Hotel, and terrorism is never right. But the reality is, Israel is now a strong ally of the United Kingdom. It's a strong bulwark against the jihadists and the Islamists that want to create a caliphate right the way through the globe. So, for lots of reasons, I support Israel. And again, I understand, not everybody agrees with me on that, but I believe I'm absolutely right. And I think anti-Semitism is one of the most evil and toxic ideologies that's ever existed. Anyway, this isn't about that today. This is about Tommy and celebrating Tommy coming home. Let's have a look. Benidorm is better than Britain. I don't know. I like Benidorm. I must admit, I do like Benidorm. If Tommy does an event in the next few months, will you attend as a guest, not an organizer? No, I mean, I always do stuff in the background anyway, but I won't be able to attend. But that's a personal thing. Okay, thank you for your support of Israel, Robert. I always have. I mean, it's just yeah. Well, actually, the country wasn't founded in 1948. It was founded thousands of years before that. And if you please go and read the Old Testament, and you'll find out. Oh, let's have a look. Great news, Richard, but don't celebrate too early. Every time we get good news, yeah, that's true. That's true, Barry. We've been there, haven't we? We've been there, mate. We've been there. He comes out changing. Yeah, I agree with that as well. I think there's probably a lot in that. I don't believe anything happens for accidentally in this country. I think we're living in a very, very sinister Orwellian time. It's because of respect to you, Richard, Paul, Danny. That's why I watch. Yeah, that's great. Do you know what? I really appreciate that, and Paul and Daniel appreciate that as well. Say false allegations. We know it's true. I'm not sure what that's about, mate, but okay. Paul, I won't give up. Well, again, I believe in freedom of speech, but again, I fundamentally disagree with you. One more quarter. We owe our civilization. We owe everything that we are in the country to our Christian heritage. And if you're not acknowledging that, well, that's okay. But it's my channel, and I'll tell you, you're wrong. Because I can do that, can't I? Okay, we want our country back. Yes, we do want our country back. So pleased that Tommy's going home. Absolutely. Depends which Bible. The Christian Zionist Bible was okay. Tommy's coming home. Tommy's coming home. Yeah. This is what this is all about. This is what this is all about. It's about Tommy coming home, getting out of prison, and basically getting back with his family and getting back and getting the movement organized and getting stuff done. And that's what this is all about at the end of the day. Try putting the St. George's flag in the comments. It's black. Oh, okay. Right. That's interesting. It's not showing up black, I don't think, on my. Oh, right. Okay. I've seen it. Oh, wow. Wow. That is really weird. What is going on there? That's something that I think YouTube should be contacted about. I'm going to let's just take a screenshot of that. Let me just take a screenshot of that, guys, because I don't know if I can do that. If that's took it, hopefully it has. Because that is. Let's have a look, see if I can do this. Hopefully I've got that screenshot. So, yeah, okay. Right, let me just save that. Because that is something that YouTube should be hauled over the coals about. If it's done deliberately, if it's an accident, that's fair enough. But if it's someone that's playing silly games, I think definitely YouTube need to be spoken to about that. So, okay. Right. You're leaving the UK for a short while in August. Yeah, well, look, I mean, absolutely. You go for it. Right. Okay. Okay. Got you. Right. So basically, okay. Right. We've got to find out why that's happening, because that is absolutely not acceptable. And I think there needs to be a way of finding out why that's happening. Because yeah, I mean, that's really, really bad. Didn't know that, guys. Thanks for letting me know about that. I think that we definitely need to find out what's happening with YouTube on that, and that's something to to talk about, guys. I'm going to wrap this up in a minute. Again, nearly 2,500 people here at lunchtime. Absolutely fantastic. Travel to UK, then try to return to when I be stopped. I don't think I would, and I'll tell you why, Billy. I've travelled extensively, but when you're within the UK, I think you've got to go outside of the UK to get nabbed by the counter-terror people, I think. So next time I travel within the UK, I'll know for sure. But again, there's absolutely no justification for stopping people like Paul and Danny, for the terrorism police stopping them. It's absolutely disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. Tom will be able to carry on in America. American embassy politicalized straight away. We need this man to be safe. I would not blame him if he landed in the American embassy and said, I want to claim political asylum. I absolutely would not blame him, because, you know, what next are they going to throw at him? You know, and these horrible, I mean, think about these horrible, disgusting groups like Hate Without Hope, you know, with Penfold and his little minions, and their ridiculous paranoid theories about who we are and what we're doing. And those people have a massive amount of influence in the media. They have a massive amount of influence in the print media, in the broadcast media. They work closely with Channel 4. They work closely with all the major newspapers. You know, Hate Without Hope press release will go everywhere. And again, there's people very, very senior in Hate Without Hope that have a lot of questions to answer. And again, it's all about timing, but they should be aware. They should be aware that there's a lot about them that happened in the 80s and the 90s, specifically two very prominent leaders in that group that a lot of people are talking about. And I'll mention, obviously we'll not mention one of the gentlemen who was a self-confessed fascist Nazi boot boy, but we'll not talk about him. But the other individual, the other very prominent individual, it's very, very interesting when you start digging into his past, and you see that he was connected with groups like Anti-Fascist Action. And also, I'd love to ask a question. What is that man's connection with a group called Red Action? And that's a very vital question, because Red Action in the 90s, or members of Red Action, should we say, definitely members of Red Action, because two of them were convicted, planted bombs for the IRA. They were working as a proxy IRA cell, and they were based, well, I'm not going to say any more, but the reality is that Hate Without Hope are an extremely sinister and evil organization, and they need to be challenged. And again, if we get power in at the next election, 2029, if we get power, I think those sort of groups need to be looked at, and there needs to be criminal investigations into those groups. So let's just see what happens. But yeah, anyway, King of Kings and Lord of Lords, absolutely 100%. 100%. Okay, guys. Well, listen, I'm going to wrap up there because I've been going for nearly an hour. The chat's been great. Again, if you haven't done it already, 2,500 people on here. Dive across to Counter Media, sign up to Counter Media, and let's build Counter Media up to be something where we can have a lot of free speech. We can talk about stuff. Obviously, on this platform, free speech is limited. Let's just be brutally honest. Not so much on Twitter. If I was doing a stream on Twitter, I'd be able to probably be a little bit more vocal about certain things. But this platform, you've got to play by their rules. At the end of the day, it's a business, and you know, you've got to play by their rules. It's not a government-owned free speech platform. It is a business, and they have rules. So we've got to obey the rules of YouTube. And but we can still say a lot, and we can still express our disquiet and our displeasure with the government and with things that are going on in the government. And again, to have Tommy out, and guys, there's so many comments in here, I can't keep up with them all. But again, I'm thanking every single one of you for coming on at this lunchtime. And it just shows the regard that Tommy is held in. You know, it really, really does. John Kerr, absolutely agree with that. And I think they probably will, to be honest with you. I couldn't possibly, oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. Didn't Angry Bootneck go to the US so he wouldn't keep getting censored? Tommy could really use the US First Amendment. Yeah, I agree. There was a comment there. Oh, yeah, there we go. Where is it? Where's that other comment? Oh, there it is there. I couldn't possibly comment. Okay. I have my own name for hate-filled, scummy groups, you know. But well, absolutely. I think there's a bit of using going on both ways, but that's always the way it works. Okay, guys. Well, listen, I am going to go. Thanks for jumping on. We can all crack open a beer tonight. We can all celebrate, and let's just hope. Let's just hope that that nothing interrupts this. That nothing stops this happening. And I think Ray Ball. I like that. Rock on, Tommy. I think that's the best way to finish this stream. Rock on, Tommy. Will I play a song? Shall I play one of my songs? Let's have a little look. See what we've got here. I'll maybe play us out on the Men of England. Let me just find this. And because you probably like this. Let's have a look what we got. Just bear with me 2 seconds, guys. Maybe that's been censored as well. Oh, countdown. No, sorry. Should be where are. Here we go. Right. Okay.
Where are the men who bled and died in foreign wars untold? The men who conquered all and stood for faith and love. The men who looked to guidance from. Where are the men of England? The heroes brave and bold. The men who stood for faith and truth, whose honor wasn't sold. When abusers so depraved took the daughters of our, what of the men of in country shilling? They never made their play. Where are the men of England, the heroes brave and bold? The men who stood for faith and truth, whose honor wasn't sold. The vile police
Right, guys. Well, that is it. I'm not sure whether that song played or not because I was having all sorts of problems with my connection. Let me know if you can still hear me in the comments there, guys. Let me know what's going on. If you could hear that song, let me know. If you couldn't hear the song, also let me know. Okay. So I don't know if you can all still see me there. Yeah. Let me know. Okay, guys. Well, listen, I'm going to dive off. Great seeing you all. Have a great day. It's one to celebrate. Okay, John, thanks for that. You can hear. Yeah, did anyone hear the song? That's what I want to know. Could you hear the song playing in the background? Couldn't hear the song. That's okay. We'll not do that again because that didn't work too well. Guys, thanks for jumping on. Really appreciate it. Song worked. Okay, some people hear it, some people didn't. We'll try and work out what's happening with that and see if we can find a better way of doing it. It could just be that my connection is not good enough to play music while I'm doing a live stream, but we'll work all that out. Okay, guys, listen, see you all soon. Thanks for coming on, and free Tommy Robinson. See you soon.